Of Deep True Crime. I'm Manny Rodriguez. In today's episode, I want to continue to cover the case against Kouri Richins, woman who has been accused of killing her husband via poisoning her husband with fentanyl, a laced Moscow Mule vodka drink. She had so much fentanyl in it, he overdosed on it by so much of a lethal dose. And so we're going to be diving into this case. What more have we learned about this case as we continue the coverage of Kouri Richins? I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. The Moscow Mule killer, allegedly, Kouri Richins, is said to have slipped a love note alongside an allegedly poisoned sandwich, then placed it nice and neatly, making it look adoring, making it look lovingly, and placed it on the seat of her husband, Eric Richins' truck on Valentine's Day of 2022. Shortly after, a lot has come out. But it wasn't until after she does this crazy interview on TV promoting her book. Before we dive into it, rest in peace, Eric Richins, taken from this world way too soon. Though I'm sharing this story and sharing what his wife is said to have done, this story is about Eric Richins and getting justice for Eric Richins, who was taken from this world way too soon. Rest in peace, Eric Richins. So Kouri Richins, she is accused of lacing a drink with fentanyl. She tells police that they're celebrating a closing. We find out so much more about that said celebration. If you've been following this story on my channel, you know I've been keeping you updated on everything we continue to find out. And so we find out now that she makes this sandwich, making it look all nice and loving. She even places a love note alongside this sandwich and then temptingly places it on the seat of her husband's truck on Valentine's Day of 2022. This chilling detail, this comes as to find out that it is another one of a new claim that has come out in these charging documents. And it has been 2 weeks since Kouri was charged with the murder and the death of her husband, Eric Richins, 39 years old, so young, whom she allegedly poisoned with a fentanyl-laced vodka cocktail known as Moscow Mule on March 3rd of 2022, shortly after Valentine's Day. The mother of three, she claims that she found him cold to the touch shortly after 3 a.m. on March 4th of 2022. Now we see these new filed documents and they reveal a string of callous moves made by Kouri Richins in the years before and even the days after her husband's death. We even find out she runs a mini marathon. Most people cannot even think about running a race when their spouse suddenly passes away with, as she would say, with no reason at all that he would die. But, you know, other people do find ways to cope with hurt. And maybe running is for some. But as we find out more about this case and about Kouri Richins, we find out she was money hungry. If this is all true, as we are finding out, she was money hungry. And all these things that she was doing before and after her husband's death. This included taking out multiple life insurance policies on him worth close to $2 million. And even attempting to drill into his safe. Worse yet, just 48 hours after he died. And as for the earlier alleged poisoning in February of 2022 on Valentine's Day, Richins, he broke out in hives after consuming this sandwich. He was unable to breathe, and they required his using his son's EpiPen to recover. He later told a friend that he thought his wife was trying to poison him. 2 days after she allegedly finally succeeded in poisoning and killing him, on March 6, 2022, documents show that Kouri arranged for a locksmith to drill Eric Richins' safe, which is said to contain between $125,000 and $165,000 in cash. Now, in the process of this greed, she tried purchasing a home. And remember I said they were supposed to be celebrating a mansion that they purchased. This is the mansion. We later found out that no, Eric was not a fan. He did not believe that this was a good mansion to buy. That was just another one of her greedy attempts. And so she kills him the day before she closes on this home. Remember, she said they were celebrating the closing of her home. There's so many attempts tied to him in his life. How could she possibly think she was getting away? She throws a party in the day after he passes away. She throws a party celebrating the purchase of this mansion that he did not want to buy. And according to his family, he was going to tell her that night that he deceased. We're not buying that. I don't like that. I don't think it's a good purchase. And so that's where the McMansion was housed. And we later find out so much. Again, follow the playlist if you want to catch up with everything. I will be adding the other ones to the playlist that I created today. This is about the fourth story, maybe third, that I've done on this story. So there's a lot that you can catch up on. But what we are finding out is that there was a lot of greed involved. It looks to be monetary. She wanted his money. He was seeing the red flags. He was in love with her. And I'll share a little more. He has said to have been in love with her to the end. But he suspected she was trying to kill him. And that's why he took deeper steps. And so he gets his sister involved in this. And he has his sister be the executor of everything, unbeknownst to his wife, Kouri Richins. Because he started suspecting that things were not looking good. And he said, I need to protect myself, but I don't want to leave her. I don't want to separate from our children. So basically, he was risking his life for his children. He knew he might be in danger. He told friends, he told family, he might be in danger. She might be trying to kill me. But he didn't want to leave his children. A lot of people disagree with this. A lot of people have said, why did he stay? He stayed for his children. Even though he was suspect of her, I think another side of him is like, she can't really do this. She can't really kill me. Because after he ate this sandwich, he was not feeling well at all. At all, he was not feeling well. We find out that she is alleged to have been poisoning him even in February, where he broke out in hives after consuming that sandwich that she neatly places in his truck with a love letter. Then before you know it, he's unable to breathe, and it is requiring his son's EpiPen to recover so that he can start breathing again. And that's when he tells a friend he thought his wife was trying to poison him. 2 days after she allegedly finally succeeded, that's when she hires a locksmith. And she tries drilling into his safe because she knows there's some cash in there. There's a lot of cash in there. Now, when one of his sisters, he has two sisters, Amy and Kouri Richins Benson. When one of his sisters, one of the two sisters, Amy and Katie, they told Kouri that she did not have the authority to do so, Kouri became enraged and punched Eric Richins' sister in the face and neck. And that was the first time that Kouri learned that her husband had changed his will on her. She had no clue. She was riding into this death thinking she has a lot of money coming to her. She was going to be set for the rest of her life. But she did not cover her tracks very well. She was too friggin' greedy. She was so greedy, she was willing to take a good man's life. But without telling her, after he is suspect, like, okay, I think she's going to be doing something to me, he changes his will. And so Eric Richins created a live-in trust and placed the older of his two sisters, Richins Benson, 38 years old. Now she's running it. That's Kouri Richins Benson. So she's in charge of his living trust, and she is the executor of everything. Okay? And until that point, Kouri believed that she would inherit an estate of at least $3.6 million on her husband's death, according to the terms of a prenup that they signed on their marriage in June of 2013. This prenup says that what we come in, we leave it if we don't make it, but in the event that I die, you get everything. And so prosecutors, they allege that Kouri secretly took out the first of several life insurance policies that she had obtained on Eric Richins within just 2 years of their marriage. You see, between 2015 and 2017, the documents state that she took out at least 4 life insurance policies with an aggregate value of almost $2 million. You see, we also find out that in October of 2020, Eric Richins, he consulted both a divorce lawyer and an estate planning lawyer. Now, unknown to the defendant, which is Kouri Richins, Eric Richins proceeded to change his will. He forms the Eric Richins Live-In Trust on November 3rd of 2020, and he places his estate under the control of his sister, Kouri Richins Benson, for the primary benefit of his 3 minor children. Eric transfers his partnership interest in his business to his trust and designated the trust as the beneficiary of his $500,000 life insurance policy instead of the defendant, Kouri Richins. Now, unknown to Eric Richins, between 2015 and 2017, Kouri, she purchased at least 4 life insurance policies on Eric Richins' life with aggregate death benefits of $1.9 million. And so these policies, they had been purchased prior to the date that Eric formed the trust. And Eric, he did not disclose these to his estate planning attorney in October of 2020 because he did not know about those. So all of these life insurance policies that came in, he didn't know about them. And so Eric Richins and his business partner, they each had life insurance policies with the other as beneficiary. And so on New Year's Day, January 1st, 2022, the defendant, she did, and without authorization, she did this without anyone knowing, without any authorization, on the down low, as a secret, without anyone knowing. She changed the beneficiary for Eric's $2 million life insurance policy to herself. And this came to the attention of New York Life and Eric Richins and the business partner, and it was restored as Eric Richins' business partner was restored as the beneficiary. But again, Kouri didn't know about this change again. And in late January of 2022, the defendant caused an application to be filed for a new life insurance policy on Eric Richins. Again, the defendant is Kouri. And so that policy issued on February 4th, 2022, 1 month before Eric Richins' death. And 1 week later, on February 11th or 12th, somewhere around there, the defendant, Kouri, she gets illicit fentanyl from an acquaintance, CL. Now, that's all we know about this acquaintance. Probably find a name out later in the court hearings. But CL stated that sometime in early 2022, before his death, she either called or texted CL to ask that she get some fentanyl. Get some fentanyl for her. And her phone records established that she called and texted CL several times in January 2022. The context of the text is unknown because it appears that she deleted data from her phone from January 2nd, 2022 until shortly after Eric's death. And so CL stated that, she was requesting fentanyl. She contacts an acquaintance, and the acquaintance, he finds it for her. The acquaintance gets it, and so, then she's got fentanyl one time. And so, but then again, later on, she does it again. You see, this acquaintance confirmed that CL asked for an introduction to someone that can get him, CL, some fentanyl. And so the story starts coming out a lot more about this. And hey, where a Facebook message from CL to this acquaintance on February 5th, 2022 at 1:37 p.m. asks, text me. I've got a question. I don't want to share this way. And so they text them, right? And it's like, hey, I need some fentanyl for someone else. And so then they work on getting that. So then they bring in other acquaintance to find this fentanyl. And so CL's phone records establish that she texted him on February 10th at 8:52, arranging to meet acquaintance to purchase fentanyl. And so they meet and they get all their fentanyl and whatever, and they sell it to her. So CL says, he says that, I believe CL's a male. I could be wrong. I don't know. I take it back. CL's a female. Because she stated that she delivered the pills that she purchased from the acquaintance to the defendant in a hand-to-hand transaction in the driveway of her homes, of CL's home in Heber City on either February 11th or February 12th. Couldn't remember exactly the date, that person. 3 days later, on February 14th, the defendant, Kouri, prepares a sandwich for Eric Richins and places it on the seat of his truck with a love note. And shortly after eating the sandwich, Eric breaks out in hives. Then he has difficulty breathing, and that's when he uses his son's EpiPen, and, you know, and it helps him and he goes to sleep. And so Eric Richins, then he believes that, man, my wife is poisoning me. He tells a friend that he thought his wife was trying to poison him. This was after that sandwich. He's concerned. The red flags are there. So CL, the fentanyl purchaser, stated that in late February 22, she, tells her that the fentanyl pills that she previously provided were not strong enough. And that's when, and asked that, hey, can you procure some stronger fentanyl? Can you get some more? CL states that Kouri specifically asked for, hey, can you get some of the Michael Jackson stuff? And during this request for fentanyl, that's when she says that. But, subsequently conceded that Kouri may have made the Michael Jackson reference during her first request. So it's not really sure. But one thing this CL is for sure about is asking for some of the Michael Jackson stuff. I don't really know what that means. I didn't know that he died of any fentanyl stuff, so I don't know anything about that because I don't think he did. And so then we find out that Kouri's outstanding state and federal tax liability was $189,000. And she also owed a hard money lender at least $1.8 million. And she owed Eric Richins at least $514,000. This girl was in debt. If you're not too sure what a hard money lender is, they will loan you money to purchase a piece of property at a very high interest rate. Maybe you need this money for a short term, you're going to make a profit, or you're purchasing the property, you're going to fix up the property, and you're going to quickly flip it and boom, get the hard money lender out. It's very normal in real estate. Very, very normal. It's one of the terms used using other people's money in real estate. That's what Kouri Richins is doing. She's using other people's money, but in this case, she was willing to kill her closest person in her life for his money. Wow. But that's what a hard money lender does. And so she was deeply in debt. On March 3rd, 2022, Kouri has a lengthy telephone call with the IRS and talked to her hard money lender. March 3rd. During the interviews with the defendant, she stated that somewhere around 10 p.m., around 9 p.m. on March 3rd, she and Eric were celebrating her closing on a house for her business. That's the McMansion. She states that she makes Eric a Moscow Mule in the kitchen and brought it to the bedroom where Eric drinks it while sitting in bed. Now, she also shares that the only people in the house were her, Eric, and their 3 young children. And so she stated that she went to bed and shortly after going to sleep, shortly after she went to sleep with one of the children in the children's bedroom because the child was having a nightmare. And so she wakes up around 3 a.m, goes back to her bed with Eric, and then she felt Eric and he was cold to the touch. That's how she described it. And that's what she said when she calls 911. And so law enforcement gets there. They say that when she left her room to go to her, she says that she leaves her room to go to her children's room. She left her phone plugged next to her bed and did not make it, that the phone didn't make it to the child's room. But she was caught in a lie there, because between when the defendant said she went to the child's room and when she calls 911, the status on her phone shows that it was locked and unlocked multiple times, and there was also movement recorded on the phone, like the GPS. If you move, the GPS can show where you're moving around. Your phone says so much about you and what you do. In addition, tolls and phone billing data for her phone show that messages were sent and received during that time. So her phone could not be in the bedroom where she said she left it. It was with her. Now, after his death, that's when she arranged for a locksmith to drill his safe, which contained between $125,000 and $165,000. Now, when Eric Richins' sister suggested that the defendant did not have the authority to open that safe because there was a trustee, that's when she becomes enraged and punches the sister in the face and neck. Sheriff's deputies responded and they called Eric Richins, estate planning lawyer, from the scene. So that while they're there, they call the lawyer. And here is when Kouri learns for the first time of the existence of Eric Richins' living trust. Again, this is what I shared because she does this without him knowing when she does that. And she thinks she's in the clear. And phone records show that on March 9th of 2022 at 10:24 a.m., CL, remember the person she got the fentanyl from, he or she contacts an acquaintance. This is acquaintance number 3 in the charging documents. CL states that on that call, she asked acquaintance 3 drive her to Draper to purchase fentanyl. CL states that acquaintance 3 drove CL to the defendant's house, which again, Kouri, in Francis, where the defendant wrote CL a $1,300 check for the fentanyl. The defendant backdated the check to March 6. Now, the acquaintance that was with CL confirmed that he drove CL to the defendant's house to pick up that check before driving that CL person to the Maverick gas station in Draper. And so the person, CL, stated that she met acquaintance 2 at the Maverick gas station. Now, there were different acquaintances where this person would get the fentanyl from. And so CL, she meets another acquaintance at the Maverick gas station in Draper after stopping at the America First Credit Union and purchased from him 15 to 30 round dark blue pills, which she understood to be fentanyl. And so she knew what she was purchasing. She knew the purpose of purchasing them. She thought she was going to be rich the next day. Now, the acquaintance confirmed that he sold fentanyl pills to a friend of one of the acquaintance on 2 different occasions in early 2022 at the Maverick gas station. Like this was a meetup spot at this Maverick gas station. And so CL stated that on either March 9th or March 10th, pursuant to the defendant's instructions, following Kouri Richins' instructions, she leaves the pills that she had purchased, for someone in a fire pit in the backyard of a vacant house in Midway that Kouri owned and was in the process of selling. Again, she's a flipper. She buys homes, fix them up, and then sells it. And so this is where, wow, we find following this autopsy and pursuant to toxicology findings from the autopsy, it was determined in April of 2022 that Eric died from an overdose of fentanyl. And so that is how, wow. And so the most recent policy that was taken out barely 2 months before his death in late January 2022, when Kouri filed an application for a new life insurance policy of $100,000. And so, it's like, she doesn't look good in this. It does not look good for her whatsoever. And so that is the full story of how it came about that first she changes it and then he changes it back, but she does not know. And so now, according to a family spokesman for Eric Richins' family, the spokesman scored us, there were 3 reasons why he stayed. Okay, the spokesperson said there are 3 reasons Eric stayed with this lady. One is 10 years old, one is 9 years old, and the third is 6. And the spokesperson said he lived for his 3 boys, and unfortunately, he died for them too. It is a tragic statement, but according to the spokesperson, Richins would have done anything and sacrificed anything for his 3 boys. And so, the spokesperson said he was a soccer coach, a baseball coach, a basketball coach, and an avid outdoorsman with his boys. Why would this greedy woman do this? Why? We will never know why a person does this except for greed and believing you would actually get away with this. Shame on you, you're a fool. And, Eric, he donated all his pay that he was receiving from coaching to give it to the kids who could not afford some of the things that his own boys had. He was really set on raising his boys the right way. That's what the spokesperson shared. And he was determined to do so despite the increasingly apparent troubles in his marriage. And, the spokesperson also said that there were rumors that Kouri maintained a relationship with somebody else for pretty much the duration of the marriage. So basically, she was having an affair basically the whole time. We don't know this person, though. If this person's out there, they're going to find him. He will be in court. He will be testifying. We don't know who he is yet, if that's true, but we will know soon enough. And it wasn't something that the family ever discussed with Eric or anything that rose above the level of hearsay when it came to the affair. And on the day before his death, Kouri told authorities that she and Richins were celebrating. So, not really though. And so she closes that deal after he died and put the property on the market for $5 million 2 weeks later. Now, it is currently under contract for $3.75 million. She is currently being held in custody with her next court appearance scheduled for June 12th, which is less than a month away. And so, we find out that he was very much in love with his wife despite suspicions that she was poisoning him. But he's said to be very much in love with his wife. But even though she was suspected of trying to kill him. And so that's what we are finding out about this. Why would she do this? Because, the question still remains, why would he even stay there, right? But that's what we know. She tainted a sandwich with poison. She puts a love note next to him to take down his guard. She tried to kill him. That continues the story of Kouri Richins. Rest in peace to Eric Richins. It's the whole purpose of why I do this story. These stories and this channel. You never know what could go wrong in this crazy world we live in. Eric Richins did not think his wife was capable of doing this. Until he started having these red flags that my wife might be actually trying to kill me. But can't confront her on that. She's going to think you're crazy. She's going to make you feel guilty. So you just deal with it and say, I hope it's not true. Unfortunately, it was true. My friends, you got to be careful out there. You got to watch who you trust. You got to watch who you love. You got to watch who you let into your world. More importantly, when there's red flags, you got to pay attention to those red flags. You got to pay attention. You never know when those red flags are true. Be careful, my friends. Until next time, rest in peace, Eric Richins, taken from this world way too soon. Thank you for joining me. We'll talk to you again.